I generated almost $60,000, which was my entire salary as a yoga teacher. I generated that in 3 months online by myself in my pajamas behind my computer. If you're in a place where you're like, oh, this price feels really good, it's too low. People are often like, well, I can't start a business because I don't have an audience. That is backwards. You build the audience by having something to give them. Until you have something to give them, what's the audience raising their hand for? Email list beats out social media all day, every day. You should have one offer. Take that offer to $1 million or wherever you want to go, then distract yourself with the next shiny object.
We're going to be really talking about how to specialize in something and doing it online and building a 7-figure business like you have, teaching people how to stand on their hands. It's so crazy to me. It's such a crazy concept, but it's so cool. So we're going to jump into that in just a second. But real quick, do me a favor and give me a little bit of your origin story. Let's spend a couple minutes and learn how you got to where you are and how you ended up founding Yogi Flight School.
Yeah. So from 2005 to 2015, I worked in marketing in a warehouse in an office with no windows. I kind of hated my life and I was doing the clock in, clock out, wondering when I was going to actually own my life and do what I wanted for a living. The problem is I didn't know what I wanted to do for a living. So I was clocking in and clocking out until something smacked me upside the head and was like, this is what you're doing. I randomly stumbled my way into a yoga teacher training. I had been practicing yoga for years, did the teacher training for my own personal growth. And within 2 weeks, I was like, this is what I want to do for a living. It was loud and it was clear. So I gave my notice at my job and was like, hi guys, I quit. I'm going to go be a yoga teacher. They were like, you what? And so I did. And very quickly, I started running yoga retreats. I started teaching all around Los Angeles. And in 2016, I had an opportunity to buy an existing yoga studio. The financing fell out of the sky into my lap. And all I had to do was say yes. And I found myself at the helm of the yoga studio, brick and mortar, an in-person business. And I hated it. I was a slave to that business, to sweeping the floors, to plunging the toilets, to ordering more toilet paper and doing all the things I never thought I would be responsible for as a business owner. I was like, I want to teach yoga. I don't want to scrub bathrooms. But that is how it shook out. And then I was saved by COVID because for 5 years as the owner of that studio, I was like, okay, I've said yes to this opportunity. I can't just say no now. And then COVID hit. And while everybody else was miserable, I was like, this is my ticket out, because it shut down my brick and mortar studio. So then immediately pivoted online because we needed to keep bringing in income. And very quickly I was like, nobody wants just regular Zoom yoga classes. It was now everywhere. And I said, I have to do something different. I sort of zoomed out. I said, why am I a yoga teacher? Why did I even do yoga in the first place? What is it that lit me up and had me commit to this practice and show up 3 or 4 or 5 times a week religiously? What is it? And I remembered my second yoga class I ever took. A lady next to me jumped from downward dog, which is a pose where both your hands and your feet are on the ground. She levitated up into a handstand and her legs went up over her head and my jaw fell off my face. I was like, wait, what? We're like, what? Huh? But this is not the circus. I didn't pay for a ticket to watch this woman do this. The only time I'd ever seen anything like that was quite literally at the circus. And I was like, so this normal human is next to me doing this crazy stuff. I want to do that. And immediately in my head was, I can't do that. I can't even touch my toes. You want me to do that? That's really funny. And that set me on a 5-year-long journey of rewriting I can't do that into, yes, I absolutely can. I just need to get out of my own way and be willing to fail until I succeed, and be willing to look stupid until I don't look stupid, and be willing to have the humility of sucking at something before becoming good at it. And in the process of learning how to do handstands for myself, I was like, oh, this actually changed me as a person, because who I got to become in order to do the handstand left me completely transformed. And so when I zoomed out and I was like, that is the nugget. That is why I'm here. That is why I'm teaching. I just gave myself goosebumps just now. I was like, this is what I want to bring to the world. And to the world at the time was just to my yoga studio students, because I was like just trying to keep this business alive in the middle of a pandemic. So I created a little online series of 8 classes to teach people how to do a bunch of arm balances. And sure enough, it worked really well. And at that point, I was like, wait, this stuff can be taught online without me physically holding a person up in the air. First of all, that was a big aha moment for me, that people are more capable than they think when the teacher is not physically there to hold them up. And then I was like, why don't I launch this to the whole world instead of just to my little yoga studio community in this pocket of LA? And so I signed up for a business program that was going to teach me how to run a business online, launched it to the world. I generated my first 5 figures in 3 weeks. I made $10,087, I think, in that first launch. I got 37 students to say, yes, I want to learn handstands with you. And my mind was absolutely blown and I didn't trust it. I was like, wait, what? As a yoga studio owner, I was paying myself $3,000 a month. I had just made 10,000 in less than 1 month. And I was like, wait, what? What is this? I turned around a month later and I launched it again. And that time I made 25,000. And I was like, oh, okay, hold on. So I wanted to be sure that this wasn't a fluke. So I launched it a third time in 3 months back to back. And I think I did 20K the third time. So I generated almost $60,000, which was my entire salary as a yoga teacher. I generated that in 3 months online by myself in my pajamas behind my computer. And at that point, I was like, I'm selling this studio in the middle of a pandemic. Somebody's going to buy a shut down studio. And they did. My front desk manager bought it. And the studio is now living on and has an amazing community. And I didn't have to shut it down, which made me feel good. And I now get to do what I love, light people up, light myself up, and do it from the comfort of my home. And I get to reach people all over the world that I never would have met if I had stayed in my little brick and mortar corner of Los Angeles. That's probably more than you asked for, but that's how I got here.
No, that's such a cool story. To launch a business online, teaching people how to stand on their hands and go upside down on their own digitally is crazy. So thank you for sharing that story. I think that's wildly inspirational, but I want to dig further here. So you said you had to prove it to yourself 3 different times. You made 60K in 3 months. So here you are thinking to yourself, well, okay, online's the answer. I can do this. I can produce this money and provide impact for everybody who purchased from me. So take me through the next steps. I mean, you said a couple times you launched it to the world. What were the steps that you took to launch it, especially beyond the students you had? Were there any specific steps that you took to continue to grow that revenue at that very first iteration? And then, of course, a few years later now, how you're doing that?
Yes, absolutely. The strategy that I used on day one is still a strategy that I use 5 years in. And this is one thing that's very important for all new and aspiring entrepreneurs to know is we get to not have shiny object syndrome. You get to find one strategy. If it works even a little bit, you keep doing it and improving it and doing it and improving it. And I think where entrepreneurs go wrong is something works sort of, and then like, let me try this other thing. No. Stay with the thing that sort of worked and keep turning the dials until it works really well. And then add something else. But we keep being like, no, that person's doing this. Let me go try and do that. So my strategy has been the same from the beginning. I give first, and then I ask. So that means I host live on Zoom, free, completely free. Like literally the only exchange is I need your email address so I can send you the Zoom link. That's it. No obligation whatsoever. I host free master classes. I've done it as a 3-hour one-time masterclass, and I've done it also over a longer period of time. Like it's a whole free week of training. We have 3 classes over the week, and you have time to integrate it and put it into your body and all of that. So I've done it both longer and shorter, but there's always a free experience. So my message to the world is free arm balance training. Do you want to learn how to do this? Come, it's free. I will show you. We'll get some poses in your body and show you what you're capable of right now. And then for the people who are like, oh my God, where has this been all my life? Can I do more? There's going to be an offer at the end to do more. And so that is what I shout from the rooftops. We have a launch coming up now on September 20th. So we're just in the process right now of putting up all of our content to tell people, come hang out with us for 3 hours, learn some cool stuff. Sign up or don't sign up, it doesn't matter. I've made an impact on you. You now know about me. I'm on your radar. And when it is the right time for you, you might join or you'll tell your friends, right? So I always lead with a give. And that give is what builds your email list. That's what builds your audience. Because when you have something to give them for free, they're likely to be like, oh yeah, I want to check that out. Here's my email. And so people are often like, well, I can't start a business because I don't have an audience. That is backwards. You build the audience by having something to give them. Until you have something to give them, what's the audience raising their hand for exactly? So it's okay, what am I teaching? How can I create an introductory experience, a webinar, a masterclass, a training, a little talk, an Instagram live? There's a million different ways you can do this. A podcast episode, give something and have people sign up for that. And by signing up, they're giving you their email, their phone number, whatever. So that's the strategy. So every time I do a launch, it involves picking a date for my free experience and then backtracking. So if my free experience right now, I'll use what I have right now because it's relevant. My free experience is September 20th. I'm going to start promoting the free experience 10 days before. So 10 days before, I'm going on my social media, I'm going on my Facebook page, I'm going on my YouTube channel, and I'm like, guys, on this day, free training, you want to come, click here, put in your email, and I'll send you the info. So we do 10 days of that, and then we have a bucket of people that are interested. We give the free training, and then we have an open enrollment and a closed enrollment period, meaning we give them a fixed time that they can join. Why? Because when you give people no deadlines, they're like, oh, that was awesome. I had so much fun. I'll check it out later. But when you're like, no, I have 4 days to make this decision because we all begin together next week and we all get to start and be on the same page at the same time, people are like, oh, I need to make a decision. So deadlines, new entrepreneurs struggle with deadlines because I don't want to be salesy. I don't want to be pressuring. And humans need deadlines. That's how we work best. As much as we fight them as well, we don't take action until the heat is on. So it's on us to create that heat in a way that feels congruent and aligned, but that heat is necessary to get people to move.
Absolutely. There's nothing like a little sense of urgency to move the needle.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the strategy in a nutshell.
Okay. So take me back to your first 6 to 10 or 12 months. Were there any landmines that you stepped on, not having been in digital entrepreneurship for very long? Or did you have a coach or a mentor who was there helping you see around corners? What did that first year look like?
Yeah. So I signed up for a course called Business by Design with my current mentor. His name is James Wedmore. He's amazing. And that course, he calls it the Lego instruction manual for online business. So you literally will pick, I want to do a webinar launch. I want to launch my course using a webinar. And he will step by step, everything you need to do in order to make that happen from A to Z. So I did follow a process. I didn't invent this, but there was no coach looking at my work. It's a course that I bought. And, there's, when you get to the higher levels of working with people, you have more access to them. But when you just buy a course, you have the course and that's pretty much it. So I did it myself by following the steps. I didn't have any major landmines, but of course there were things to learn. Like one time I accidentally sent an email to my entire email list that was meant to be sent to 10 people. And then I had to backtrack and be like, sorry, 12,000 of you got this email you shouldn't have gotten, and the shame and embarrassment that goes along with that. And then you're like, it was just an email. It's not a big deal. But in the moment, you're like, unsend this to 12,000 people. And at that time, something small like that, like sending an email to the wrong people, took me out for 5 hours. Oh my God, what have I done? This is a disaster. Now, at 5 years in, the landmines are much bigger. Like we accidentally spent $30,000 on Facebook ads to the wrong countries, to countries that couldn't afford our services because the exchange rate is so vastly different. But I didn't know until I had the experience of, oh, you should be unselecting certain countries from your ads if your product is over a certain amount of money, simply because my product is 6 months' salary in some countries. So it's not fair to put it in front of them. So there was massive amounts of money that I just sunk. I had to learn a lesson and there was no other way to learn it than to learn it, right? So landmines like that in the moment, you can't even breathe. You're like, what have I done? And then with a little bit of hindsight, it's like, okay, we're building a machine here. And if we can break the machine with one mistake, the machine's not built properly. So I get to trust that I'm building a machine. And if one thing goes wrong, it's not going to tank the whole machine.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great point too. Like the build your machine to where it can withstand some cannonball fire, right? Whether it's self-inflicted or not, it's not going to take down the whole ship. I love that. I want to talk about pricing because I think this is a huge thing for aspiring or current digital online entrepreneurs. How the heck do I price and value what it is that I'm selling or sharing? Take me through your journey with that from soup to nuts, from the beginning to where you are today. What did that all look like?
Literally, I sat on my couch with my boyfriend and was like, what should I charge for my course, do you think? $197? $297? $397? And we just went back and forth like that. And he was like, yeah, I think $297 sounds good. I was like, yeah, that sounds pretty good. And that was literally how I launched the first iteration. I landed on $297 because I was teaching people how to do 30 arm balances. And I was like, well, you pay me about $10 per pose that you're going to learn. If you go to a yoga class or a yoga studio to take a workshop to learn this pose, they're going to charge you about $40. So I'm charging 1/4 of that times all the poses you're going to learn. So it was really just, what is the industry currently charging for something comparable? Because this is not in person, it's online. So it was really just not a wild guess, an educated. And very quickly, I launched it twice at that price point. And very quickly, the feedback I was getting from people was like, you're undercharging. And I was like, I am? Really? Okay, so let's try $497. So I did a jump from $297 to $497. That felt very stretchy for me. As soon as I raised the price to $497, it was like heart palpitations, panic. And I was like, I don't feel so good. And that's where you want to be. You want to be at a place that feels uncomfortable for you, but where you're still like, there's a chance that somebody might buy it at this price. That's a good place. If you're in a place where you're like, oh, this price feels really good, it's too low. You want to be a little bit nervous about it because it's from that place that you're going to show up as the best version of yourself to really make a case for why this is life-changing for people. If the price is too comfortable for you, you'll sit back on your laurels and be like, whatever happens, happens. So you got to be a little bit stretched. So that $497 was the stretching point for me. We stayed there for 3.5 years. And this year, in this past January, I looked at my profitability. I looked at my team expenses. In the last 3 years, I went from being a total solopreneur to having a full team. Some of these team members are full-time, which means they have decent salaries. And I was like, profit margins are going down if I don't do something to increase it. So we decided to raise to $575 in January. And again, I didn't sleep for a week because all of a sudden that price had a 5 in front of it instead of a 4. And human psychology, a 4 is less than a 5. And I didn't sleep for a week. And it sold just freaking fine at $575. So I don't think we're going to raise it again because I do want it to be accessible to people. And what we give them is worth so much more than that. But if I go much beyond that, I have a limiting belief that people aren't going to want to pay this much money to learn handstands. And I get to clear that out for myself before I'm ready to go up another level. But I think we're going to hang out here for a little while. So trial and error to some degree, educated guessing, comparing a bit to what is out there in the industry, and being really solid on who you are and who you want to be. There are 1 million yoga courses online. And I don't want to say 1 million arm balance courses because I really have found a niche thing, but there are many that are all like $49 or $69 because that is the price point that is a no-brainer for people. You see a thing, oh, $49 here, take my money. And to me, that is driving the price of yoga education down to the Walmart drain. And I don't want to be the Walmart of yoga education. So I consciously was like, my competitors are offering, I don't want to say the same thing because it's not the same thing because we offer like tremendous value, but they're offering, as far as the customers are concerned, it's the same thing. It's a course to stand on your hands. My course is 4, 5, 6 times the price of my competition. And for a while I was like, uh-oh, I'm going to ruin my business by doing this because people only want to pay $49. That's not what I'm finding. We are staking our stake in the ground that we are the best because we charge our worth and it's stretchy and people have to stretch their budgets to join us, which means they're more committed and they actually do the work. Because when you pay $49 for something, I don't know about you, but I have so many things I paid $49 for. I've never even logged in. I don't even know what they were that I bought because it was too easy to spend the money and then be like, I'll check it out later. So I want to make people sweat a little bit so they actually show up and get the result that they signed up for. Nothing makes me more sad than somebody giving me their money and then never logging in, never getting the result. Like, I'm not here to collect people's money. I'm here to transform their lives with them. And if they don't do the work, I don't get the fulfillment and they don't get the fulfillment. So it's like, what price do you need to charge that's a little stretchy for somebody that they're actually going to show up for themselves? I don't know that I answered your question, but.
No, perfectly. Like you've made so many good points that I'm not going to be able to note here or go back on because they're all spot on. But yeah, it's total human psychology. And I love this pricing question because there's so many different ways to approach it. But I love the way you do where we make it so it's stretchy it's achievable, but it's kind of like a dog whistle for bringing the right people into your community and to learn from you, because you don't want, no offense to bottom feeders, but there's plenty of them out there. If they're only spending $49, like you said, they're not going to do the work. They're not going to invest in themselves. And at the end of the day, you've basically charged a tiny bit amount of money to not really have an impact on anyone. And that's no fun at all. And also the reverse side of that on the consumer side is the fact that, oh, well, at $575 compared to this $75 one, there must be there's something that she's bringing to the table that this guy or this gal isn't. And I actually kind of want that because I want the best for myself. And maybe that stretches my budget, but you know what? Now I'm going to do it. So I love how you frame that. So that's spot on. All right. I want to ask you about the structure of your courses and your trainings. So what does it look like? So somebody that's paying the $575, and also part of this question is, do you have lower ticket offers or kind of things? I know you've mentioned like freebies on the front end, give before you ask. So run me through the structures of all your offers and what they look like.
Yeah. So I'll zoom out a little bit and say, for anybody who's starting out, don't listen to what I'm about to say and then think that you need 12 different offers. You should have one offer. Take that offer to $1 million or wherever you want to go, and then distract yourself with the next shiny object. If we try to launch or grow too many things at once, we spread ourselves too thinly. So for the first 2 years, I had one offer. It was that one. It's a self-study course. Like when you buy it, you get access to a whole library of training videos. You get access to a coaching community where you can take videos of yourself practicing the stuff you learned and then ask for coaching. Be like, I think I'm almost there, but something's missing. What's missing? And they also get to join us for a 2-hour specialized arm balance workshop on Zoom every single week for an entire year. So that was the bread and butter offer. To this day, we still sell that offer. And then a while in, I decided to add in a self-study only, meaning we took away the Zoom thing. You don't have Zoom for a year with us. You have just the course portal and the coaching. And I did that because not everybody is available on a Saturday for 2 hours. A lot of our community is in Australia and in other parts of the world where it's literally the middle of the night when I'm awake. So we had logistical issues that made it actually impossible for people to attend, not just not available, but like sleeping. So I said, I need something that will be like for the general public who doesn't want to come to a Zoom class. They just want to do this on their own. So we offered a reduced version of the program. That one costs $247. That one is constantly being sold in the background, even when I'm not bringing in a cohort of live students. So I had basically Yogi Flight School Self-Study and Yogi Flight School Live that ran concurrently for the first 2-3 years. And then I started to add little things. So now I have smaller courses. I have a special course just for wrist pain. Like if wrist pain is what's stopping you from handstanding, then let's deal with that. That's $27. And then I have a yoga course that's not about arm balances. That's $127. So as time went on, I created smaller offers. But the vast majority of all of our marketing is Yogi Flight School. All roads point to where I want people to end up, because once they're in my Yogi Flight School program, then I also run yoga teacher trainings. If you want to become a yoga teacher, I'll train you how to do that. Then I have a certification. If you want to learn how to teach my arm balancing methodology to your students, you can certify with me to teach my methodology. So I have an ascension model, and I want everybody into that Yogi Flight School course. So we don't do a lot of marketing of our other smaller courses. We use those as upsells. So when someone joins Yogi Flight School, it's like, do you also want to work on your wrists? And do you also want to know how to do this one other thing? And then they can add that to their purchase rather than leading with the other courses, because I want to be known for being the best at arm balances. And if I start to be like, we also have this and we also have this, it dilutes the message. So message gets to be loud and clear so that we are a beacon for people who are secretly looking for us, even if they don't know they're looking for us. So I do have price points that are all over the place. My cheapest course is $27 and my most expensive certification is $4,000. And those most expensive ones, those never get shown to the public, only for my existing pool of students that can then upgrade to work with me on a higher level.
Right. Okay. Is any part of the structure ongoing revenue or recurring revenue at all?
So this is literally the conversation I've been in for the last year. I did a really good job at creating an offer that people want. It sells every single day, so I know people want it. And you buy it once and you have it forever. So every single month, I start from zero. and I need 300 new customers a month in order to cover my expenses. And that is a tremendous amount of pressure on my shoulders. So the last year or so, I've been like, how do we create recurring revenue? So we introduced payment plans on our longer, like our 575. You can pay $49 a month for a year to get to that. You end up paying 597 at that rate, not 575, but that's your payment plan fee, that extra 20 bucks. So that gives us some recurring revenue. But then once that year is over, that person stops paying. So again, we have to resell someone in on a new year. So we're in the process now of implementing memberships. And we have found it really challenging to find a price point where people stay. So we have several different memberships. We've tested a lot of different things. After 2 or 3 months, they cancel because I don't have time, because it's not interesting anymore. And I'm like, how do we get people to stay for a year or longer? So this is literally the conversation I'm having in my business right now, and the thing that we're tackling. I would love to get it to a place where half of my monthly expenses are covered, regardless of what I do, by recurring revenue. And we'll get there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Awesome. The next iteration will have recurring in
exactly.
it.
Yeah.
I love that. All right. So you mentioned your team. You've built your business 7 figures, and now you have a team. I forget how many folks you said are on your team, but can you tell us how many you have and kind of what their jobs are and how they help grow the business as well?
Yeah. I think I misspoke earlier. I said I had 6 full-time, but one actually just left in July. But so there's me as the CEO. I have my chief operations officer, who's sort of responsible for making sure that all the different departments in the company are doing what they're supposed to do. So we call her the integrator. So she integrates everything. Up until very recently, I was single-handedly responsible for marketing. Now I'm training up one of our team members to own marketing. And marketing for us it's a very wide net. So we have a YouTube channel, we write weekly blog posts, we send weekly emails, we have social media channels, and we do ads on Meta, on Google. So it's a big hat, a marketing hat. So we have a marketing person, and then we have a specialized social media manager who is responsible for creating our social media content. We post twice a day, every day on social media. And for the first year of my social media account, I did it all myself. And then I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah,
Somebody
that's a
else come
lot.
and handle this. Yeah. And it's great now because it's taken me a really long time. I'm a control freak, by the way. I don't know that any entrepreneurs are not control freaks. Nobody chooses this
Yeah, I think
unless,
we all are to at least a degree.
yeah, nobody chooses this life unless they like to be in charge of things. So,
Right.
as a control freak, my biggest problem at the beginning of my business was I would hire people and then I wouldn't let them do their job. So they would sit there and I'd be like, hold on, let me just redo this. I'll just do it. And then you're like, wait, but why am I paying them? So I then had resentment, and they were unfulfilled in their job. And so I had a lot of growth to do with let go, let people rise. And the conversation in my head used to be, I'm the only one who knows how to do this right. And now I'm like, oh my God, these team members are way better than me at this stuff. I'm so glad I let go. Right. But it took a really long time for me to let go. And this is a constant work in progress. So that's my admin team. So chief operations officer, social media manager, marketing. Oh, and I forgot customer support. So my customer support person is inside our inbox, and she chats with people on DMs and my social media account. So she's like responsible for all the communication with customers. So that's the core team. And then I have coaches, because part of the reason why our program is so successful and part of the reason why we charge more than other programs is you get unlimited lifetime coaching. You come back to us in 5 years, you say, I'm working on this new post. Can you give me coaching? And we'll say, yes, you paid for it 5 years ago and you have it until we cease to exist. So that means that there's dozens and dozens of posts from our community every single day requesting coaching on their posts. So I have a whole team of people whose job it is to be in there just coaching.
I'm gonna go a little meta here. That might be your recurring revenue center right there.
We thought about it. So we thought about, why don't we just sell the course? And then if you want coaching, it's $5 a month or whatever to have the coaching. And I think people are willing to pay for the course because it comes with coaching. And what will making people pay for the coaching, what's that going to do to the take rate on the course? So definitely something I've thought about. I would need to test it on a small sample, because that's the thing that like has the potential to tank the whole thing. It's like, whoops, if we took away the one thing that people were happy about getting without paying extra for. But that is a piece we've considered.
Yeah,
Charge people to get the
that's
coaching.
that. Honestly, any of the courses I've ever taken, the ones that had the deepest impact were the ones that came with coaching. and beyond coaching came with a community. So those are like community membership, whatever you want to call it. Those are two of the biggest things that for those that I've worked with, that's their revenue driver. That's their recurring revenue. Even if it's not the largest part of their business, it's the baseline, right? Like that
Yeah.
coaching. And once somebody learns from you, and especially once they like you, they're going to, like you said, like you have a ton of people coming back to you for that. So I love that idea
It's a
for
good
your
one.
recurring revenue. Not that I'm in your business every day, but that seems like a fun one.
Yeah, yeah. I will
Um,
play with that. Thanks for that.
yeah, yeah. All right. So you mentioned your marketing. I imagine so much of your new inbound, is that through your advertising on Facebook, Instagram, Google?
Yeah. Google really, Google was great for me in 2021, 2022. In the last couple of years, it's nothing. I spend a bunch of money to make very little out of it. So right now on Google, I
Hmm.
just have retargeting. So I follow people around on the internet. If they've visited my website, they'll have a little logo on every website they visit. I'll be like, hi, 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 I'm here. So I bug them like that. But our inbound, we have a webinar, an evergreen webinar that's constantly running. It's 37 minutes and it teaches people like why they're not arm balancing, the things that they're doing wrong. Because most people who sign up for my program have at least tried and have had the experience of it not going well. So
Hmm.
I tell them exactly what they were doing wrong and I introduce them to our method and how it can help them in this 37-minute thing. And we promote that with Facebook ads and we promote it with social media content and we promote it on our YouTube channel. So all roads point to that webinar. And that webinar is where people get to know me a little bit, get to understand how the method works, and then can either sign up or not. And then they go into a much longer nurture process if they don't sign up after the webinar. We have other ways to bring them in later down the line.
I love that. And you mentioned earlier in the episode here your email list. Is that a tool that you guys utilize in terms of all aspects of sales and marketing, or can you expound upon how you guys utilize email in your online business?
Yeah, this is something that people say email is king. If you don't have an email list, you don't have a business. And you're like, yeah, okay. But look, social media, look at all these people who have millions of followers. Don't they have a business? No, they don't. They actually don't. Because one time a year ago, Meta went down for a day. I don't know if you remember. And if we didn't
Mm.
have an email list, that entire day would have been lost because people who rely solely on platforms that don't belong to them to communicate with their potential customers are playing a very risky game. So my priority is always get an email address. And once you have their email address, you can do whatever you want with them. So we have long nurture sequences where we just provide value for people and invite them to work with us periodically. And then I only do 2 flash sales per year. I do a birthday sale for my birthday every year, and then I do a Black Friday sale. The rest of the time, we don't discount our product because I don't want the people who are just waiting for discounts. So that's it,
Mhm.
twice a year. So we utilize our email list to nurture people in the background while we're busy doing something else. So someone will come in on a freebie, that webinar or some other freebie that I put out there. They'll get delivered that freebie. They'll get an offer to work with us. If they don't take it, we're not just like, okay, bye. We're like, okay, once a week, we're going to send you value and we're going to help you get to your goals, even without spending any money and encourage you to join us. So that's always basically building your trust and your likability with your audience, even when you're sleeping or doing other things. And then we have very targeted like flash sales, or we'll take one product. Now we have several courses. We'll take one of our courses and we'll do a 4-day promo for it. And we'll write emails just to promote that one course. And we did $30,000 in February off of an $89 product I sent 4 emails. That is the power of an email list.
Yeah.
It would have taken me 10 months to make $30,000 as a yoga teacher before. We did it in 3 or 4 days. And we just ran my birthday sale in August. My birthday was 2 weeks ago. We just ran it and we always debrief anything that we do a report at the end. Where did the customers come from? How much did we sell from this and that? We did $48,000 on that sale in 2 days. I still can't even. I'm like, these numbers, like I can't. I'm in this business
Wow.
5 years and I still can't like wrap my mind around this. But then Alex Hormozy did like $2 million in 10 minutes or something. So there's also that. I'm not him.
Also took him 15 years to get there. The 10-year overnight success story.
True. So we did 48,000 in 2 days, 6,000 of those 48 came from social media. 42 came from our email list. And that is the power of email. So
Yep. I love that.
other than like the
It's
numbers, because I was kind of trying to prove, I was like, I'm pretty sure at this point, our social media account is neck and neck with our email list. Watch. No, absolutely not. Email list beats out social media all day, every day. So
yeah.
some people build
That's
their
where
entire, yeah.
Yeah, social media is a great tool to build that email list, but the real conversions come from the email. And there are so many online business owners who are not familiar with that concept and they don't email enough or they don't email at all, which is pure insanity. But it's building that relationship that can't be taken from you. I'm glad you mentioned that because an over reliance on large platforms where a simple algorithm shift can like delist you essentially, like shut down your business because you put all your eggs in the Facebook or Instagram or Google or TikTok basket.
Yeah.
And before long, you're donezo and you don't have anybody's email and you're screwed. So, yes, anybody listening today, if you're going to take at least one thing, take the idea of making your email list and making that the most important thing in your online business because it's going to be the lifeblood. No algorithm can take that email list from you. So, that's the
No,
best
they
thing about it.
can't. Yeah. And to your
Yeah.
point about emailing people, like if you're in the game right now listening to this, you probably know it's uncomfortable to email people what you consider to be too often. And I've learned this the hard way too. Like we're in the middle of a launch and a launch, like I got 4 days to get people signed up and I'm about to send the second email of that day. And I'm like, no, I can't send a second email. That's 2 emails in one day. They're going to kill me. They're going to lynch me. And then you send the second email and you go, oh, I didn't die. Nothing exploded. Everything's fine. And
You actually
you
made a
start,
ton of money.
yeah, right. And then you start to realize, oh, every time I send an email, I make some money. Interesting. So you send more emails and then you start to get people respond. You are a money hungry, grabbing. What kind of yoga teacher are you? And then you get all up in your feels about it. You go, no, I have to stop sending emails. I have to stop sending emails. And then you take a step back and you go, hold on, I'm not going to let this one disgruntled Karen take out my business. We're going to unsubscribe Karen and we're going to send some more emails. And that
Yep.
process has been 5 years in the making for me. I have probably left a lot of money on the table because I was too afraid to send some emails. And then I signed up for
Hmm.
Hermosi's launch last weekend and he sent an email every hour for 12 hours. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, we can send emails. You have the freedom to send emails. If someone is not happy, unsubscribe. That's all.
Right. If you're in front of
And
the
if they
right
unsubscribe,
audience,
yeah.
yeah, unsubscribes are totally fine and natural. And you know what? They're doing you a favor because they're cleansing your list of
Yeah.
their own volition. That's
They
even better.
weren't.
That's less work for you.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
will say, we've had so many people unsubscribe and then come back and sign up for our program. And they're like, well, I just
There
signed
you
up for your
go.
program and I didn't get my welcome email. And we go in and we check. We're like, oh, you unsubscribed from our email list like a year ago. That's why. You need to resubscribe so you can get your welcome email. But we see that all the time. Even if people unsubscribe, it doesn't mean they hate you. It just means right now they're overwhelmed in their inbox and they may be back. So,
Hmm. Yep. I love that. Such a great point. I think that's a perfect place to end this. I could go for another hour with you. This has been
same.
just awesome. You're just a lightning rod for knowledge. And thank you so much for sharing that with our audience today. If you're out there listening and you are interested in starting an online business, or you are maybe in the throes of beginning your business or in your business, I hope you found something valuable today because Nathania, you brought the noise. So thank you so much for joining us. And also, I want to make sure that anybody out there who wants to get some more of you, how do they do that? How do they get into your world?
Best way to find me is at Yogi Flight School on Instagram. If you DM me, you will probably hear from Danny, the team member I told you about who handles customer support, and she will kick you over my way. And I'm happy to chat with you, answer any questions you have, just give you some encouragement. So Instagram, or you can go to my website, yogiflightschool.com.
All right. You heard it here first, folks. YogiFlightSchool.com. Tanya, thank you so much again. This has been such a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me. Really awesome.